Hey yo, Amar here. In this video, I'll be talking about spiritual headaches. Are you having reoccurring headaches that you can't really explain? If you are, and you are doing a lot of spiritual or self-development work, then I think there's a good possibility that it's related to that. This is something that happens to me quite regularly, maybe once a month or once every couple of months, where I'll have a headache for a couple of days. Right, and then it passes. Then I might keep doing some work on myself, and then it'll come back for a couple of days, passes. So it's just always coming up. It's been happening like this for me for a couple of years. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. I didn't really feel like I had a good enough explanation. I think I do now, and this is what I want to share with you. Before we get into the video, quickly, I just want to give you a disclaimer, as I always do in these type of videos, that I'm not a doctor. Do not take this advice as a medical advice. If you have chronic headaches or migraines that are worrying you, please go ahead and get a medical opinion. But if you just have occasional headaches that you can't explain, then maybe I've got a good explanation for you here. So yeah, let's get into the video. So there's two explanations I want to share with you. They're both related to each other, right? I think both of these things are at play. I'm going to talk about the first one initially, and then we'll talk about the second perspective, and then we'll link them together. So the first reason is because you are releasing trauma from your system. So if you watched my last video, which is called How to Release Trauma from Your Body, which I'll link up here, we talked about how we have a lot of unfinished survival responses which are trapped in our nervous system, right? Unfinished responses. And when we start to do healing work on ourselves and developmental work, that energy that's been trapped in our nervous system for so long can be freed. When it's freed, it's got to go somewhere. If you understand basic science, you'll have heard before that energy cannot be destroyed, right? It can only be converted or transferred. So if you've had all this trauma or trauma energy trapped in your system for years and years and years, when you start doing this healing work on yourself, that energy has to go somewhere. And from my opinion, that energy moves upwards, right? That's what usually happens. So I want to show this just with this arrow. Usually a lot of the traumas that we have trapped in our systems are trapped around our chakra point, especially around our lower chakras. So we've got the root here, the sacral, and the solar plexus. And when that energy is discharged or freed from these centers, it's going to move upwards. I also feel chest discomfort. I have a separate video on this that you might have already seen. So the way I've made sense of this is that that energy is moving upwards. I'll feel it in my chest, and then I'll feel it in my head. Like when the energy moves up into the head, the brain has to adapt. The brain has to integrate this newfound energy, right? You probably understand that the brain is neuroplastic, so it can change, it can grow, it can rewire itself. So if you pump in extra amplitudes of energy into the brain is going to be kind of knocked out of its normal state, right? It's going to have to adapt in order to integrate that newfound energy. And I feel like pumping more energy into the brain is only going to be a positive thing. It's going to increase your intelligence and mental faculties, focus, concentration. I honestly believe these things will grow as we increase the amount of energy in the brain. When we do that, obviously by releasing the traumas that are trapped in our system, I also feel like you can work through negative emotions in this way. If you really transmute or let go of some negative emotion that have been bothering you for a long time, that energy then also will move up and can be integrated by the mind to expand your mind, essentially. So the energy is being released from the lower centers into the higher centers, into the highest center, obviously the head. So that's the first reason I feel like you are having these spiritual headaches, because you are integrating this stored energy from your body and negative emotions, and that creates a bit of discomfort in the head for a couple of days while the brain adapts to it. And so that leads me to the second reason. The second reason you're having these spiritual headaches is because when you've released something, like I've just talked about, from the system, or let go of some negative emotion, your emotional frequency is going to change. Okay, you're probably familiar with David Hawkins' scale of consciousness. I'll put it up here. His scale is really related to higher emotional states. The higher you go, the higher emotional state. So if you let go of some trauma from your system, you are naturally going to shift to a higher emotional state. Okay, that shift to a higher emotional state is going to change the rhythm of your heart, right? You've probably also heard it said that the heart has a powerful frequency, like thousands of times more powerful than the mind. So the frequency your heart is beating at changes. And therefore the message, your energetic signature changes. And this is so powerful that it influences everything around you, your whole environment. You start to be someone different when you change your energy. This is what they talk about. And your energy is transmuted by the heart. It's not what people say or what people do that really tells you who they are. Their energy speaks volumes more than anything else. So as you release some trauma or transmute some negative emotion, your emotional frequency increases to a more positive state. That changes the rhythm of your heartbeat and the signature you're transmitting into your environment, which also influences all the organs in your body. Most notably your mind. So your mind starts to change because of the emotional frequency your heart is now transmitting out. Okay, so you could say this also rewires your brain. It literally will pull your mind into alignment with the heart. The heart is more powerful than the mind. I hate to say it. It is. That's not to suggest the mind is useless. It's fantastic, but the heart has literally more power than it. So if you are feeling warm, heartfelt emotions constantly, that's going to start to pull your mind into alignment with the heart, literally changing your mind, rewiring your mind. Now, if we go back to the first reason I just talked about, if you've got more energy in your head because you've released some trauma and you're now sending out a more positive emotional signal, that energy in your mind is going to help you rewire your mind to this new emotional frequency, right? Changing your energy, changing you, making people see you differently. People will feel you differently. You will be different, okay? Because you released something, you integrated it. You transmuted some negative state into something higher. And this is really the path. This is what we're always doing. We're just integrating negative emotions or releasing more trauma from our system, which changes the way our heart beats, the frequency and rhythm of it. And that influences the way we think, rewires our brain, right? Different emotional states have a different heart frequency, right? You can measure it. It's been measured by many people. So this is what I think is happening and why you're having spiritual headaches. So overall, it's a good thing. I feel like your mind or brain is rewiring itself to a higher dimension. And that can be uncomfortable. Add to that the extra energy you've got in there now because you've released some trauma from your system. It takes some time to adapt, right? So this is how I've been able to make sense of it. And for me, as far as I'm concerned, it makes sense. I feel like I've got better focus, better concentration, just more intelligence, if you want to call it that. And I can make sense of things, more logic, common sense, all of this stuff, right? Which is head stuff. So yeah, that is everything I have to talk about in the video. I hope this video gives you some peace of mind, no pun intended. But like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have reoccurring headaches, go ahead, get checked out. There's no harm in that. It'll put your mind at rest and you can just go along your journey and see that, you know what, I am growing, I am evolving. It's potentially a positive sign, okay? So that is everything I have to talk about in the video. If you have anything to add, any questions, any comments, you know what to do. Hit me up down below. If you haven't already, remember, check out my book. I'll put a link down below also. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead, give it a like, share, subscribe. Really helps me out. But until next time, remember to keep living free and being free. Peace.